I just want to say a few words about Murray Walker, the former Formula One commentator who passed away a couple of days ago, aged 97. He started commentating in the late 70s and he didn't retire until 2001. So for many people, myself included, he was the voice of Formula One. And I spent my early years following the sport, listening to him somehow make extremely dull races sound extremely exciting. And his infectious enthusiasm and passion and love for the sport, I will never forget, and it can't be replicated by anyone else. And his famous Murrayisms, such as let me stop the start watch, and there's nothing wrong with the car, except that it's on fire, will never be forgotten. So thank you very much, Murray. There'll never be another one like you. Rest in peace.
Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome back to your Formula One Half an Hour fan show. I am your host, the Governor, and this is our episode in tribute, as Steve was saying at the start of the show there, to Murray Walker. Never be forgotten. I'm going to bring in Neil. Neil,
hello.
You heard Steve there at the top of the show. Share some of your thoughts as before we get into today's show.
To be honest, he was brilliant. As everyone says, that the mistakes he always used to do were just part of him, and just made him even more brilliant. To be honest, that was half the thing you wanted to listen to hear what funny things he would come out with.
Yeah, as a new fan, I feel a little bit sort of robbed that I'll never have that, and I'll obviously have the chance to go back and watch some of the old races and pick up on what the things that Steve said there. But one of them stuck out: the car on fire. That
was epic. Yeah, there's nothing wrong apart from the car's on fire.
I obviously, because being a new fan, I hadn't heard that until Steve had sent that through today, and I laughed. I was like,
yeah.
Did he say that right? Like,
yeah, that was him. Yeah, to a T.
Amazing.
The main thing that people, if they don't know anything about him, they will know the fact that when a race started and he used to go, and it's go, go, go. That is something everyone that isn't even into Formula One will know about, just purely because of him.
I'm fully anticipating when I do go back and listen, and I certainly will be when I'm about to catch 5 seconds. I'm certainly anticipating knowing the voice over what I've read and heard of the man and the commentators. It sounds like one of those voices that you hear a couple of times and you never forget. So I certainly am anticipating remembering it. But it's a shame I never experienced it in full swing. But
it was the fact that he wasn't just into Formula One either. It was motorbikes originally, and I think it was like dirt bikes and all sorts. And pretty much any motorsport, he would just go to the events and he would talk around, and everyone would want to talk to him. And he would want to know all the information. And he was just absolutely loved all motorsport, and everyone just enjoyed having him about.
Okay, perfect. Let's shift gears. Let's bring in our regular host. He needs an intro. Our aficionado, Stephen Thompson. Great words at the start there. Welcome in, my man. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm very well. Yourself?
Yeah, very well. Obviously, testing's come and gone, and we've got loads to unpack. We've got the wheel spinning away in the VIP room. I can see it. I'll bring that in a second. But how's your week been between last and this?
It has been good. Obviously, the previous weekend I've had testing to sit down and watch, and it's just sort of muddling through and trying not to let the boredom take you, really.
Yeah,
the joys of furlough.
Yes, the joys of furlough. Look at that. I thought I'd place you two at the top. You know, it's more your show. I'm here just to click some buttons and look pretty. You two, because I've got a feeling it'll be you two heavy tonight, because I'm going to listen and sort of soak in the knowledge, soak in what two people that have watched it since, you know, the age of knee high to a grasshopper have
much to learn.
Have gleaned. Yes. Without further ado, so of course, bring in our will. There is, should I say, I think there's 6 topics on there this evening, 3 from each. I've read the topics, obviously, because I put them on the wheel, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happened. You know, what conversations we have this evening, because it's going to be exciting stuff. Kicking us off is number 1. Look, you can't write a better script. Are Mercedes really struggling?
Really? You can't make it up.
Are they suddenly vulnerable heading into the season? Neil Mould, kick us off.
Yeah, basically with that, they think this is the worst start they've had since might be 2016.
Really?
And yes, so
it's going well.
Yes,
unplug it.
Thank you. Steve, pull it out of the wall, mate. Pull it out of the wall.
If that rings again, I'm going to have to. Sorry about that. That's good timing, isn't it? Bloody hell.
Yeah, I told Steve before we went on air, this is, if you look at the laps they did, this is the worst start they've had since 2016. And yeah, basically they look really on the back foot. The car only towards the end of the 3rd day started looking like a Mercedes that we know. And even then, it was Hamilton spun it. So that tells you still how loose on the rear end it is. There's talk that they might be going away from the fairly level ride height to increasing the rake, so having the rear of the car higher than the front.
So what caused these issues then?
The fact that the regs have changed, and they've removed downforce from the rear.
It's, even though the cars are an evolution of what they had last year, there's still, what you said, obviously in the photos you sent earlier, there's a lot of differences between last year's cars and this year, even though there's only a couple of months between, you know, the season ending and this one starting, essentially. But yeah, like you say, it was only until yesterday where Karun Chandok actually said the Mercedes is starting to look like a Mercedes. Yeah. Very uncharacteristic errors from Hamilton.
I just see clearly, season seems more exciting now. Mercedes aren't on the front foot. There might now be a title challenge. Well, Toto Wolff has said recently, I think maybe even today, that Mercedes have found the hair in the soup, as he put it. So have they found what's causing the issues, or are we in for maybe an unpredictable season, as ITFC suggests, Steve?
I never know what to believe with Mercedes, because since they've started being really dominant since like 2015, they've come out after every preseason test and said, yeah, we're not as strong as we'd hoped. Red Bull or Ferrari look like they might be the team to beat this year, and then they get to the first race and they're 3 seconds a lap quicker than the next quickest car. So you've got to take what they say with a pinch of salt, I think. But this year does have a very different feel about it to the previous years, because you actually really saw them struggling. I mean, in previous years, you never saw these spins and these errors, but they always sandbagged a little bit. Whereas this year, you've seen errors from Hamilton that you wouldn't really see. So it does make you wonder.
So are they
all the Mercedes runners? All the Mercedes runners have had engine and gearbox issues, whereas and they've done the least running, which is worrying. But McLaren were the only ones that didn't seem to have them issues.
The highest Mercedes-powered team, or the Mercedes-powered team with the most laps was Williams. which is great to see because I don't think they had any serious issues. They were doing a lot of long run pace. The car still seems quite slow in a straight line, but they did have a few issues as well. Latifi did lose it a couple of times, but Latifi. Russell looked really good in it. And I think, yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? Because most of the, Aston Martin especially had loads of issues with Mercedes stuff. So,
yep. Mercedes were the only team that didn't have, one of these, whatchamacallit days where you could just do a little run down. Yeah, that's the one. Do a little shakedown of the car. A media day, basically, what they call them. And they chose not to do that. So all of these little niggles they could have got rid of in that day and they would have been fine for testing. But as it was, they've struggled.
Who performed better out of the two drivers then, Steve? Bottas or Hamilton?
I would still say Hamilton, because Bottas, I felt a bit sorry for him because on the first morning he missed. I think he did a handful of laps because they had this gearbox issue that kept him in the garage for hours. And then by the time they'd fixed it, he got a few laps in. Then he had to give it over to Lewis for the afternoon. So, but Lewis has made a couple of really uncharacteristic errors.
Day 2, Bottas was right up there. Was he not top actually?
I think he was. Yeah. So. Mercedes, I think out of the two drivers, they've both done some good times in testing, but Hamilton had a few errors. Bottas lost a lot of running. They're still going to be there at the start of the season, but I think that Red Bull can give them a serious challenge, not just if one of the Mercedes happens to fail. I think they can have a serious four-way fight.
Yeah, you mentioned that they normally will resolve this, Neil. I just want to read out a little comment here. So we've had issues in recent years with pace in winter testing and managed to make good progress before the first race, but we may have our work cut out this time. What does your gut tell you, having been here before? Do you think that's the true statement, or do you think, my gut's telling me there's something not right about this car?
I have to agree with Steve that we've been here so many times that you almost brush it off and think, yeah, whatever. They're going to be romping away as they normally do. But after seeing quite what we did this time, I think that they are actually struggling. I'm going to go along with it this time, and I actually believe
certainly a different feel because, like I said, in previous years, if they were third, fourth, fifth in testing, and they say, "Oh, we're not on the front foot," they've still been banging in the most amount of laps because they always try to do the most amount of laps out of everyone, and they were still lapping at a consistent pace. But this year, bottom of the lap charts with a car that looks quite skittish. So, I'm inclined to actually think they do have serious issues.
Okay,
yeah, right. You have to be careful with what Toto Wolff says. Yeah. Even when they're a second a lap quicker than everyone, he's still worried about the fact that, exactly.
It downplays it. From one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum, then, with the team that Steve's wearing there, lovely. Williams, have they made good progress or made any progress, Steve?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you can never read too much into testing, to a certain extent, because the bigger teams like Mercedes are going to sandbag like they usually do. The smaller teams like Haas and Williams are going to run their cars as light as possible and as aggressive as possible. To get themselves further up the charts and to get more attention on them. They could obviously attract more sponsors and things like that. But this year, I think Williams have made progress. Latifi had a couple of errors. The car, again, looking a little bit skittish. But they did the most amount of laps out of any Mercedes-powered car, as I said. And I think they're looking really good. Russell was looking very, very quick, and he was lapping some good times. Yesterday, he had the whole day in the car yesterday.
Didn't he?
He had
have
yesterday.
Okay, so he had the better day. It was the second day was the one with awful wind, or was it just the
first afternoon with the sandstorm?
That was it. But the sand was still on the track on the second morning.
Yeah. So Russell had the best day because the track was also rubbered in by that point as well. But yeah, Russell's looking very strong as we expected, really. But Williams are looking a lot better. I hope we can ease you in, George. That'd be brilliant.
Neil,
always welcome it. Fantastic.
The Williams fans had his say. What does the neutral fan say?
Well, there was comments about because you had the Red Bull Perez, his engine cover broke off, and some of the Haas drivers, I think, said that there was a massive difference between following a Williams and then pulling out of the wake into clean air, and so that car is still really draggy. And
okay.
So I think down the straights it's going to struggle, but other than that, it does seem to have gained some pace from somewhere. So fingers crossed that they'll perform better.
Absolutely. And Ben has politely reminded us we have yet to do our Monday night check-in with our F1 reporter all over the country, Mr. Neil Moles. Neil, where are we today?
I'm in Peterborough again, but I'm in a different hotel.
Oh, well,
you got to mix it up, haven't you?
Yeah, we can tell that, can't we, Steve? Because the uplight at the back is not the same. It's not as classy, I want to say. One man's class, another man's, Neil, without saying the hotel chain you're in, is Ben right?
Of course he's right.
Boom. 3 points, Ben. 3 points. Right. Talking about people that didn't win at the weekend. Aston Martin struggles, Neil. Talk to me about that.
Well, they barely got any running. They went for a few of the bits on their program, but Vettel is way behind where he wanted to be. He's still got lots of systems that he wants to learn because each team is slightly different. I guess they don't take their steering wheel configurations from team to team. It will be individual to which team you're at. So he's got that to deal with and all of the different modes on there. Pretty much everything to ease him into the way Aston Martin work. He didn't have time for. Martin, you've spelled Aston Martin wrong.
I have. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely Martin. It's the it's all the same. It's like Martin with a Y. It's still technically correct.
You can't even spell your own name properly.
I can't. I'm trying to rush here while doing 2 or 3 different things at the same time. You didn't have to point it out, but as you have done, I will change it. Steve, tell me in the aficionados' words why they struggled.
Well, I think we touched on it earlier. Mercedes have struggled with gearboxes and things so far this test. Obviously, they're running a Mercedes back end. Well, it's still a Racing Point, isn't it, really? Which, of course, was a Mercedes. So it's a shame to see because obviously there's a lot of fanfare about them coming back into it, and you want to see them fighting at the front. You've got Vettel, who's lapping well when he was lapping. But unfortunately, most of the time we saw the Aston Martin in the garage, or we didn't see it at all because they had the screens up in front of the garage. So when they were lapping, they were doing some pretty solid, pretty consistent times. But it was underwhelming, and it was a bit of a shame to see because they were one of the cars I was looking forward to seeing most. And
well, I put them above McLaren originally, didn't I? They were third quickest before testing for me, but after the what we saw from them, I'm not so convinced. Unless they were seriously sandbagging when they were doing the runs they did manage to get in. Vettel did look better than his teammate across the whole testing.
That's not difficult. It's Stroll.
Ben Moore, have they still got a Merc engine?
Mercedes 100%. Back end,
yep.
That's what's causing them issues.
And as for Danny Rick, yes, he did look really good.
Okay, right. We have now got, courtesy of the livery rundown. So Steve made a fantastic article, link is in the description this week. I want to pull out just 3 of his comments on the livery, and I want to see what Neil felt. We'll start from the bottom. Next week we'll move ourselves up. So Steve actually placed Ferrari's livery as his least favourite. 6 out of 10.
I know why.
Haas was 2 out of 10.
No, wow. Not according to this, Steve. Oh, okay. Yes, sorry. You've not put it in order. I thought you'd put it in order. My mistake. Haas is 2 out of 10. You are correct. I mean, you did write the article. So, technically, you probably know more than I do about it. So, Haas is the worst one according to Steve. Neil, do you agree with that?
I can't disagree with it.
Having now
just
seen
basically a national flag that isn't supposed to, be involved in any sport. So
even though you've now seen it, because there's some cars that, as we were saying before we went live, we were looking at.
It has grown on me.
Okay.
You look at it, and it's the main problem for me is the whole team in general isn't my favourite. So I'm never going to be the greatest fan of that team, even if they had the greatest livery in the world.
And with a 5 out of 10, that was the next one up. I do believe, Steve, was Red Bull.
Problem for Red Bull is that they just bring out the same look that they've had each time. The biggest change they made was when they went to matte coloured paint.
Mm. They're in a tricky situation, Red Bull, because it's their corporate colours and everyone knows that livery and they become famous for it. They can't do something drastic and change it. They can do testing liveries, which they have done, but they can't turn up with a different race livery because people wouldn't know it's a Red Bull.
And then you had Mercedes. 5 out of 10.
No. Yeah.
You didn't like the AMG branding on it?
I don't like the weird white at the back. I totally agree with Michael there. That's really grown on me. And also the comment, Nate King, Alfa Romeo livery is beautiful this year, really is.
He's also right about this one as well.
Okay, well, we'll get to that.
I must admit that has grown on me now.
It looks better in person. Williams. But yeah, the Mercedes, I don't like. There's a weird patch of white towards the back, which I really don't like. I think it would have been nice going back to the silver like they've used in previous years. And they replaced all those nice Mercedes stars they had on the back of the car with just AMG spam all over it. And it looks awful. It just looks like they've let a kid have a go with the Control V button and just gone, there we go, done.
Which is basically what you said in your article. Having an AMG on the car is expected, of course. But I feel they've gone too far with the branding on the back of the car. It's a shame, because otherwise it would be a nice overall livery.
I mean, I like they've stuck with the black, and I like they've got that sort of the Petronas coloured stripe down the side of the car. That looks really nice. I sort of prefer the black Mercedes to the silver Mercedes, but
at least they haven't gone for red and then put a really dark bit at the back.
Yeah, I wonder who's done that.
Can you guess which one Steve rated as a 10 out of 10? Like, you can't get any better, apparently, according to Steve Thompson's article, link in the description, than this livery. Can you have a guess, Neil?
It's between two.
Which two?
I would say it's between...
You'd know if you read it.
Yeah, but I read it a couple of weeks ago. Or a week ago. Time's passed since then. I've had a couple of sleeps. Neil. I would say Alpine or Alfa Romeo.
And what's your gut telling you it is?
I'm going Alpine.
Steve, is he right?
Well done.
Tell him why he's right. Why is Alpine to you the 10 out of 10 livery, the best livery you've ever seen this year?
Because it is absolutely beautiful. That shade of blue, you've got the French racing blue, catches the sun really nicely. You've got it sort of switches to the red and the white at the back with the Alpine logo. It looks absolutely stunning. And the thing that made it even better for me, Fernando Alonso sitting in that car with his 2005, 2006 style helmet in a blue car just takes you right back. It's fantastic. I cannot think of a thing wrong with that car.
He hasn't lost an inch of his pace, has he?
And he's one of the drivers, the best drivers from testing. That's fantastic. ITFC Tweedy, AMG is sort of Mercedes performance brand for the engine. Just to answer your question there. So,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that either. Right. Last two. We'll go with this one first. I think this was one from you, Neil. Thoughts of Nissany running full day of testing?
Yep. Basically, he had to run the day he did with a green light on the back, not a red one, because that basically told everyone he doesn't have the points for the super license. So if it wasn't testing, technically he wouldn't actually have been able to drive. And my thoughts are that if Russell's going to get moved next season, potentially up the grid, then Williams are going to need to replace him. And if this man is someone they choose that they like, then this would help him potentially get extra points on his super license and be able to take the seat.
Any thoughts on that, Steve?
Basically echoing what Neil said. Obviously, they've got one eye to the future. Russell's not going to be there for much longer, as much as it breaks my heart. And unless Williams can suddenly challenge for the championship this year, I can't see him staying here after 2021. Nissany hasn't really lit the world up in Formula 2. I don't agree with. I agree with giving him testing time, but I don't agree with giving him the entire first day. They've gone with the car. They've had one media day with a shakedown. So there's still some things to be worked out. So you're better off sticking Russell or Latifi in the car just to iron out the creases, and then give Nissany maybe the last afternoon or the last day or something. But you want to hit the ground running, and you want to work out any issues of that car early on. And seeing as it's an evolution from last year's car, the better people to do it would be last year's drivers. So I don't see why they gave him the first day.
He hasn't got any experience to fall back on, has he, in Formula 1?
They could say, how's the car feeling? It could be understeering horribly, for example. Yeah. And they could be saying, how's it feeling? He's going, yeah, it's fine. But Latifi or Russell will step into the car. Yeah, I love it. Doesn't want to offend them,
Just stick me in it.
Yeah. Well, any of us might as well get in that car. We've got as much F1 experience as he has. And Russell who drove it second day? Latifi. So Latifi, they're working with this for the first day. Latifi steps into it on the second day and goes, what the fuck is wrong with this car? Everything is all over the place. Well, Roy told us it was fine. No. So like the first day.
It's like when you take over from the weekend staff, Neil. It's like, what the have they done here? What have they done?
It is. You think, what? Who's been in this car? Roy Nissany drove it yesterday. Why? It's stupid. Yeah, Drive to Survive out on Friday. Can't wait for that. Really excited.
Big time. We hope to do some things around that ourselves as a show. Ben Moore, where would Russell go, though? Steve will answer this one. Next week, done it. But yeah. Dan Whitty, welcome in. Yes, our friendly Barnsley fan, welcome in. You amazing people. Last on the wheel of our half-an-hour show is sprint trials. Now we know a little bit more about this. Neil, what's your take on it?
I'm all for it. As Martin Brundle said, that F1 has got to where it has through people being brave and doing brave decisions. And F1 needs more of that. I know the hardcore fans, the diehards, will always want it to be as pure and as original as it can be. But I think we need to be a bit more ballsy and give something like this a go. And it's 3 races this season. Basically, they're going to have you'll have the Friday practice. Martin, are you having fun with the dog?
I'm getting a kick in. I'm getting kicked in by the dog.
Yeah, so you'll have Friday practice, FP1. You'll then have qualifying after that, which will give you the grid for the Saturday, in which you'll have FP2 in the morning, and then you'll have the sprint race. And then on the Sunday, you'll have the main race, in which will be the order that they finished in the sprint race.
So Neil's for it. Martin Brundle sounds like he's for it. He's our aficionado, our resident guru. Are you for it?
Yeah, I like it. You've got to do, like Neil said, you've got to do something every now and then. I remember 2006 when they changed the qualifying to the 3 stages. Because it has, and F1 has had basically the same format since then. 3 practice sessions, 2 on a Friday, 1 on a Saturday qualifying, race on Sunday. And they changed it from 05 to 06 because it was obviously getting a bit stale then, and they mixed it up, and there was a lot of bad reception, I think, when they changed it to the knockout in qualifying, and everyone's sort of obviously grown to like it pretty quickly. But because they've had the same format for so long, it does get in danger of getting a bit stale. And like Neil said, you've got to be bold and you've got to try new things. They tried the qualifying sort of slowest lap knockout thing a few years ago that fell on its ass. But you've got to try new things. And
but the main thing with what the qualifying you've got now is it gives you that peak in each section, haven't you? So, because I remember, was it an hour? You basically had an hour in which all the teams had 10 laps or so to get the quickest time. And they would all just sit in the pits until the last minute, and they would all rush out, getting each other's way and all that sort of thing. And if you're up in the grandstand, you're sat twiddling your thumbs trying to find something to do until they come out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, basically that made it so you'd have a brilliant, really exciting bit in 3 different sections. So every 10 minutes, you're going to have that bit of excitement.
Okay.
I I love the qualifying format as it is. I hope that stays there because, especially with the midfield that we're going to get this year, it's going to be insane. So, but yeah, definitely agree with Ben's comment there. Obviously, Murray Walker's family after the news. So,
absolutely. Sam,
another thing with the sprint races, there'll be 3 different tyre compounds from the rest of the weekend, or as far as I'm aware, anyway. And it will be the top 3 drivers get half points.
Nice. Okay. Sam Witten, will you be doing a F1 Fantasy League? Yes, I think we will be doing one. So keep your eyes peeled for that information, either through our social media, which are links in the description, or on next week's show. But yeah, certainly I think we will be. I know Neil wanted to do one last year.
Yep.
Better get that off the ground this year, without a doubt. We're hoping to do something with the Drive to Survive. Lots of plans. So if you're not yet subscribed, hit subscribe, and hopefully see you back here again. Same time every week, 7:15 on a Monday.
Well, I was just going to say as well, we've got our post-testing results as well of where we thought teams would be compared to our pre.
Yes, we have. Who's going to go first then?
You go first, Neil.
Go on.
I've swapped from who's number 1. It's going to be Red Bull now, not Mercedes. I've then got Mercedes in second.
I think Tito Wolff would like his hook back.
Yep. I've then got McLaren are ahead of Aston Martin. They've jumped into third. I've actually got AlphaTauri next after that.
Ooh, bold.
Wow.
Yep. Aston Martin next. And then I've got Alpine.
Okay.
Then I've got Ferrari. I really don't think they've improved much. Williams, I'm still keeping third from bottom.
Okay.
Alfa Romeo, and then Haas at the bottom. I've swapped them to the bottom because I've found out that they're not even bothering to. They've pretty much added a cape to their just on the front section of the nose and under the nose, shall I say, behind the front wing, and basically the new paint job, and that's pretty much all they've really done. And they're not bothering to upgrade it all season.
But let's be honest, that's like shooting fish in a barrel, those bottom 3. You could literally put them in any order and you got a good chance of being right.
Thing is that, yeah, they're concentrating on the next season. They've basically said, we're not improving or spending any time improving this car. What it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Thompson.
Well, pre-season testing, pre-testing, I had Mercedes quickest. I've kept them quickest because I still think they are going to just edge it.
He's not taking a bait, Neil. He's not taking a bait.
Red Bull, I've kept second. McLaren, I've kept third. Although before I had Aston Martin fourth, I've now got Alpine in fourth. Ferrari, I've kept fifth. I've got Aston Martin in sixth, who were originally fourth. AlphaTauri seventh, and then eighth Williams, ninth Alfa Romeo, and 10th Haas. Mainly because, like Neil said, basically Haas aren't going to be developing their car this year, and it just looks crap. And I don't have much faith in Mazepin, and I feel sorry for Schumacher because he's now got this final F1 debut, and he's going to have a really awful car to drive. So
I'm more surprised you didn't have Williams, higher. Personally.
Oh yeah, Williams first.
Personally,
Yeah.
So
Williams have made gains, but it's not going to be anything to really jump and cheer about.
No, next year really, it might be more of a big jump. Okay,
I think they're going to start switching resources to 2022 fairly soon.
So next Monday,
soon into the season anyway.
Yeah. So next Monday is it? It's the last Monday before the season starts. So we'll do a final where we think everything will fall. We'll obviously look at the Bahrain. We'll look at all of that. I just see that this dog is the star of the show. Always and forever, the dog is the star of the show. But until next Monday, 7:15. Steve?
Yeah, thank you very much for watching. We've got some new people getting involved and lots of chat going on. Absolutely love it. It's great to see week in, week out. So I said on Twitter that the show is getting bigger and better each week, and we can't do it obviously without all of you lovely people. So thank you very much for watching. Obviously, we'll dedicate the show to Murray Walker as well and his family. And we will see you at 7:15 on Monday. Music is my therapy. It puts my anxious thoughts
adventure.